What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFawn Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. What if the freedom and closure you have been searching for is on the other side of what you haven't let go of? Today's guest, Lianne Hofer, TEDx speaker, author, and decluttering expert, is here to join us in this conversation about how we can find forgiveness and closure, which is so important. Now, Lianne is someone I have had the honor of working with personally and coaching at TEDx Sugar Creek Women. And I just had to have her on the show when I started getting to know her. And more importantly, just this amazing story that she has had. In this conversation, we're going to be talking about physical clutter, but we're also going to be going into something deeper: how forgiveness and closure are the keys to creating space for the life you're truly meant to live. Lianne, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Tara. Glad to be here.
Oh, it's so good. I never in a million years thought I would talk to a clutter expert. No offense, but it's just
Yeah.
something that it never crossed my mind.
It's definitely not like your average everyday person to talk to.
Exactly. Well, that makes you unique. It makes you stand out and stay remembered, right?
Heck yeah.
Well, how did you get into this work? And when at what point in your life did you say, "You know what? I want to help people declutter." What's that all about? Take us through that journey.
So the decluttering, I'm formally trained as a dental hygienist.
Mhm.
That's the funny part. And
There's some
because they went
decluttering
over,
there too.
say it again.
There's some decluttering there too in
Oh yeah.
dental hygiene, right?
Yep. Just get the whole teeth cleaned up. Yep, for sure.
Mhm.
And when I moved to North Carolina, they didn't care that I was licensed in a bunch of states and I was really good at what I did and I had taken excessive training. They didn't care. They wanted me to retake all my exams because at that point I had practiced for a really long time and everything was, quote, expired. So I went where everybody goes to find themselves, New Jersey.
I love
Because isn't that where you go to find yourself? And I was with a girlfriend and I was sitting there saying, what do I do? What's next? I have too much energy to just stay at home. We had already set up the house, everybody was situated, we're adjusted to a new place to live. And I'm over in her pantry with a box of cereal under one arm and I've got crackers in the other and a mouthful of stale food, asking, "Can I throw this out? Can I throw that out?" And she came over and said, "That's what you need to do." And I said,
Wow.
"Eat stale food?" Like, it still hadn't clicked. And she's like, "No, you come over here and you clean out my junk drawer. Just you just do it. You don't even think about it. You just open up the drawer and start organizing it." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right, I do." And that was it. Came home, bought an LLC, got an EIN, and there you go.
Oh my gosh, what a fun story.
So that's how the clutter consultant got started. But the actual ability to do the organizing was actually a trauma response from childhood.
Whoa. All right. I feel a lot of synergies here because I will say this. Same. Yeah, same. My dad was a hoarder. And I grew up with that, and I did not want to live that way. So I almost have the opposite problem. Like, I throw away sometimes too much, probably, or at least my husband says I do. I don't know if that's true. You might have a different opinion, right? He's always like, "Where'd this go? Where'd that go?" And I'm like, "Gee, I don't know." Right? But tell us about that because I think a lot of people will resonate with that. To me, when I look at clutter, I feel it's almost like I remember shame. Is
Yeah.
it the same with you? Do you feel that when I say that?
Yes. So I was always embarrassed as a kid to have my friends come over
Yeah.
because we had the dining room table that was completely covered with everything. Back then there was newspapers and magazines. The mail was, we didn't have email, we had snail mail, and it was always all over the table. I had siblings and all of our stuff from school was always all over the table. And if you wanted to eat, you had to clear a space. You couldn't even set something down, it was always so full. But my mother was also what I call a master piler. So she wasn't a hoarder, but she was a crafter. So there
Mm.
was always, how to do something. And there was not just one or two books of how to do it, there was a whole stack of it. And then there was all the stuff that you needed to do the craft with it. So there was always a lot of things in the house, and they were always spread out all over the place. There was no organization to it. And then I would go to my friends' houses, and their houses were neat and mine wasn't. And there was a lot of shame around that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I started to do was I would go and I would tidy things. I would go and, make little piles on the dining room table so at least it had semblance of order to it. And then I noticed that my mom felt better. Her depression would decrease. And I was like, "Oh, so my mother's depression is directly affected by the stuff spread out all over the place." And she's more my mom and she's more engaged if I can get that neater. So while it wasn't necessarily a hoarding situation, it was definitely a collecting situation. And so I can relate to the hoarding, but I have not officially lived in a hoarding situation.
Wow. It's yeah, there's a lot of shame around it, right? And for a long time, I never wanted to chase success, like, when I was a kid. I didn't even know that was possible for me. I didn't know confidence was possible for me. Leanne, I just wanted to chase normal. I
Yeah.
just wanted to feel so normal. I remember even telling my mom that I wish my name was Jennifer because that's the most normal name I could think of.
Oh my
That
gosh,
was
I wanted to be Cindy.
Cindy and Jennifer, look at us. I know, right? But I would say that or Veronica, I just thought that was a, like, ooh, exotic name or something.
Yeah.
But I never wanted anything to do with any part of who I was, even my name. And there's just a lot of shame around it, and it took me a long time to really get over. And when I have, got my own house, I always promised myself it will be so clean. It'll be so inviting that people can come over anytime and it just looks good. And you're right, going back to the depression thing, when my space is clean, oh my gosh, I'm in a different plane, like a different level, right? Do you feel the
Mhm.
same way?
Yeah, I may have mopped my floors before I got on.
I prepped mopping my floors before I prepped it. I only vacuumed it and did the first part, right? Because you gotta do that. But yeah, that's, next on the list.
That's so funny. Yes, I did that this morning. But yeah, but I would like to go back to the part where you said you get over. You don't get over. You learn how to work with
Yeah,
because
true.
it really becomes part of who you are.
Mm. And I often think about what are the little hangers on from our past, right? That sometimes
Mhm.
we can't identify because it's really hard to read the bottle if you're inside the bottle, right? Read the label if you're inside the bottle, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I like to have these kind of conversations that are just open and honest about topics like this, because I think a lot of people are just hanging on to a shame, a version of themselves that they are ready to upgrade, or something that in their past they look back with regret or resentment or lack of forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that really holds us back in life. And it's almost like it starts out as an emotional problem that manifests as a physical reality in the form of clutter. Like, what are you burying? What are you hiding? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite lines. What you're looking for is buried under your clutter.
Hmm. What does that mean? Do you find that when people go through this process, they experience closure, they like emotions come up?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Um, so clutter is kind of like putting on weight. It's a protection
Mm,
from the physical sense, right? Like if the like you grew up in a hoarding household. They were probably whoever it was, I think you said it was your dad. Your dad was protecting himself somehow from the outside world. He had been hurt and he was using that to protect himself. And people don't choose to be hoarders. It's usually something happens and or they've grown up with it and those are usually the two main ways. But the hoarding is protection. If I put more stuff around me, I'm protected from what hurt me out in the world. And when we start working through the layers of life, which is what happens when you start going through things, um, that's when you start to, these things start coming up. The things that I haven't dealt with that I buried deep underneath the physical things, but you still buried them deep emotionally as well. So um, I worked with one client. She had a two-bedroom apartment and she had gone through a tremendous trauma. And when we started digging in with the things, so many emotions came up. We found shopping bags that still had the receipts and the items in the bags from 5 years prior. They were buried underneath, and I came out one day with a receipt, and I looked at her and I said, "What happened in 2017?" And she went, "Oh, that." And then she told me the story, and then everything made sense of why everything was built up in the home the way it was. And when we were done working with her, not only had she jettisoned a ton of stuff, she ended up getting a new job, a new career, a raise, a move. And I spoke with her a couple years later, and in her new place, everything was neat and tidy and ready to go because she had that opportunity and that safe space to work through those emotions and those layers that she wasn't ready to work through back then.
it's transformative. It's who would have thought this was like therapy, right? 'Cause
Everybody
um,
says, "You sound like
yeah,
a therapist." I was like, "Okay,
yeah.
we need some training on some things." So I took some trainings. I'm not a therapist, but I can certainly walk somebody through some of the stuff, and I know where my limit is.
Wow, that is so funny. I often tell my husband I'm a therapist too, and it's funny, right? But I think these things come up and sometimes we bury them, right, emotionally. And they can lead to blocks. They can lead in how we show up in the world. And, that's part of why I wanted you to come on this show because there is an aspect in all of our lives and our past where we have a lack of forgiveness with something. And that lack of forgiveness leads us to not having a proper closure around something, an event or a person or whatever,
Mhm.
or ourselves, right? And because of that, it's almost like time stops in a way
Yeah.
and we stay there, a little piece of us. And some people have a bigger piece, some people have a smaller piece. But until you can really release something and let something go, it's always going to be a anchor that you have to that situation, person, past thing, right? So that's why I think forgiveness is so important. And it's the topic of my next TEDx talk in Los Angeles that I'll be doing. It's about forgiveness. And as I mentioned, right, I had a traumatic childhood as well. And with my dad, I moved on and I thought because time went by, distance, physical distance was there, that I hadn't seen him since I was 14 years old. I just kind of assumed that I was done. I had released it, but I hadn't really. And it occurred to me last May. So it's been a year since I wrote my letter. I wrote a letter to him and I just wanted to forgive him because I realized that he's a broken person too.
Mhm.
And that what good was it really doing me to hold on to any resentment? And of course, I found my relationship with Christ just a few years ago. And that was transformative of me. And I said, you know what? If Jesus on the cross could forgive the people who put him there, who am I not to forgive?
Well,
It was a big slap in the face.
yeah, right? You're like,
Woo.
yeah. The um the forgiveness is so incredibly important because when you hold on to all that anger and resentment, it like festers. And then when it does come out, it kind of gets ugly.
Yeah. And it
Yeah,
shows up in different ways. It shows up how we show up in the world. It's almost like you carry a badge with you. And it's an energy I feel like people can feel, and how, like I said, how you show up in any given situation. It could be your reactions, could
Mhm.
be the seeking of self external validation for approval, could show up in your confidence, how you view yourself, right?
Exactly.
So this is the ultimate topic, and I want to share a clip. I'm gonna do something a little different. This is a clip of Brian Tracy, looks pretty old clip, maybe it's in the '80s, but he's talking about forgiveness, and I'm gonna play it, and then, Leanne, I want your take on this clip as well. It's such a good clip.
We love Brian Tracy.
I know, who doesn't love Brian Tracy, right?
You have to forgive. Number one is forgive your parents. Forgive your parents for everything that they've ever done that hurt you. Most of our research shows that almost all of our adult problems trace back to being unwilling or unable to forgive our parents for something that they did that hurt us. Forgive them 100%. Write to them, telephone them, tell them, or at the very least, forgive them in your heart, but forgive your parent. Number two is forgive others. Forgive everyone else. Forgive everyone who has ever hurt you in any way or anything. Just let it go. Now, some people say, well, I can't forgive that person because what a terrible thing they did to me. Remember this, that forgiveness is perfectly selfish. Forgiveness has nothing whatever to do with the other person. It has only to do with your peace of mind and with your assuring your own mental integrity. Number three, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for every wicked, senseless, brainless, foolish, stupid thing you ever did. Because every single person has done wicked, senseless, brainless, foolish, ridiculous things. But forgive yourself 100%. And finally, the last part of this is if you have done something to hurt someone else, go and apologize. It's amazing how many lives are ruined year after year by people who do not have the intestinal fortitude, the gut, the courage to go and say, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good, so good. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I have a whole page of notes.
Okay, let's go, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So he talks about forgiving your parents and that most of our adult problems come from not forgiving our parents. And I think we've already touched onto that.
Yeah.
Um, I had an abusive household and I wrote a letter to my father and never mailed it. I wrote the letter and then later on wrote the letter back to myself as if I was him and had heard what I wrote the way I
Wow.
needed to hear it.
Wow, I love
That was a
that.
moment, but that's a practice that you can do and keep doing
Yeah.
because, we talk about peeling back layers of an onion,
Mm.
but I don't like to say peeling back layers of an onion because when you peel back layers of an onion, first off, you get the entire layer and it makes you cry. And if you get the onion in your eyes, it stings. So I am going to do my next TED talk on peeling back the layers of a cabbage because a cabbage is a vegetable that was only allowed for royalty back in the day. And the Egyptians, only the royal Egyptians got cabbage. It's a hardy vegetable. It grows no matter what. It's got tons of nutrients and fiber. It's used in the Irish traditions to reflect the Trinity. In Chinese traditions, it's used to reflect wealth. So it's a very powerful vegetable. And when you peel back the outer layers, those are easy to take away because they've pulled back already a little bit. They're a little brown, they're a little dry, they're easy to take off. That's the easy stuff. But then when you start getting to those other layers of the cabbage, they're tight, they're packed and stacked. And when you pull them off, once you start getting into a couple of them, you don't get a whole leaf. you get pieces and shreds, and that exposes pieces and shreds of the layers underneath. And that's how it is when we're healing and when we're going through a process. It's not taking off the entire layer, it's pieces. And not all of those layers are sad. Some, when you look back, when I worked with a woman who, she was a minister's wife, and the next thing you know, we're all walking around with her Sunday hats on our head, and we're wrapping, scarves around us, having a great time, reliving moments. Not everything is sad. So I would go with replacing an onion with a cabbage, and that's where I would go with the parents. Then he talks about forgiving others. And the way I look at that is everyone's doing the best they can do in the moment, including myself.
Yeah, that's
You
so
didn't get a
true.
full night's sleep, you're not gonna be as resilient and as able to handle things as if you had gotten a full night's sleep. If you haven't eaten lunch yet, you can get hangry and you can be a little snappy. I mean, they have those videos, right, where the husband's driving the car and the girl gets in the car and she starts kinda snapping at him and he puts a Starbucks drink in her and she's like, "Oh, thank you," and she starts drinking it, and then he, like, puts french fries in her mouth, and she's like, and then, gives her a fuzzy blanket. It's like, sometimes it's just the best we can do. So
And for the record, any men listening out there, that's always the answer. Like,
right.
take me to eat, I'm not so
Food is
angry
always
anymore. So any men out there, that's great marriage advice actually too.
who knew I was a marriage counselor as well?
I think it might work with men though, as well.
Probably, yeah.
I don't think my husband would be mad if I gave him a beer and french fries at any point in time. Just saying.
No, mine's a beer and tortilla chips.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, but that is so good. So we need to forgive our parents, we need to forgive other people. Who else do we need to forgive?
We need to forgive ourselves.
So good. Yep,
Yeah, and that's, like, a big part of being human, right? I mean, I think that's part of the life journey is to forgive ourselves, and, Jesus, to your point, forgave other people that put him on the cross, which is, I
yeah,
mean, but then we talk about how we have Christ inside of us. So if he's inside of us, then is it not also something for us to work on as a human being to forgive ourselves?
absolutely. Because 'cause we've all done really dumb stuff. You know,
Forgive yourself.
it's sometimes hardest to forgive ourselves for dumb things, but try to do this, look back at it, and find a way to make a laugh out of it, right? And just keep finding ways to make something funny, and eventually you'll get closer to forgiveness of yourself. That works for me, I don't know about everybody.
Well, the other thing to look at is what's the lesson or the gift in it.
Exactly. Yep.
You
The
know,
lesson.
I was driving on vacation a couple weeks ago. We were getting away for a couple of days, and I was meeting up with my husband, and the car in front of me literally rolled on the highway.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, we're going to stop. We're going to take a beat. The guy was fine,
Yeah,
thankfully. But it was like, okay, well, what's the lesson in this? Well, the lesson in this is make sure that you're paying attention to the driving, Leanne, when you're driving down the road. Don't be looking at your phone. Don't be messing with things. Pay attention to what's in front of you. Because I was paying attention, I intuitively knew something was going to happen. I don't know what it was. I recognized the truck and then I saw the truck and I lifted my foot off the gas and slowed down. And because of that, there was a big enough space for me to be able to stop without hitting him. Had I been following him closer, I would have hit him when he rolled.
wow.
So what's the lesson in the gift? The lesson is make sure you keep that space. And the gift was we didn't get into a wreck.
Absolutely, and that's the power of gratitude as well,
Hmm.
and that's why I incorporate gratitude into GRASP, GRASP. Gratitude is the first pillar. When you can look back at any situation, either a present situation or a past situation, and find the lesson, find the gratitude in it, you'll be so much closer to letting that thing go, right? And it not controlling you. That's huge.
That's huge.
It's huge. So we need to forgive other people. We need to forgive our parents. We need to forgive ourselves. Who else?
And then we need to apologize.
Yeah, that's so good. We don't do that enough, do we?
No. And some of the business things say, "Don't say I'm sorry, say thank you for." And while I understand that professionally that sounds better, I think there is some power sub in adding
Yeah.
in a layer occasionally, at least, of the "I'm sorry for," especially if it's a consistent thing.
So, a couple of years ago, Harvard Business Review actually talked about this. Most people, 85, 90% of people, they think they're emotionally intelligent, right? They think they are emotionally aware, but most people are not. So you only have like 10 to 15%, or I feel like it could be less, of people who are actually not emotionally intelligent, don't have a high EQ. And I think when you do have a high EQ as a leader, right? So in a business sense, and you apologize for something and own up to something, it makes people trust you more, right? It makes people trust you more. But the same is true in a friendship sense. Leanne, if I wronged you and I'm an emotionally intelligent person, I'm going to say to you, I didn't mean that. That was really dumb of me to do that. I'm sorry. But how about this, right? How about I make it up to you in some kind of way or something like that? Just own up to it. There's nothing to be mad about, right? For that other person. They're not going to resent you, they're going to respect you.
And a lot of times, they didn't see it the same way you saw it anyway.
Yeah, true. It's a
So
perspective thing.
we're, like, all in our head, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we live in our heads most of the time. Whether, again, that's in the past or in the future, I think a lot of people don't live in the present.
Agreed.
And the power of kind of, I feel like, decluttering, just what I've learned from you, is that it allows you to live in the present,
Yes.
right?
And
What do you think?
yes. Yes, let go of some of that stuff. But here's the thing, you don't have to let go of anything that you're not ready to let go of.
Right.
And we're gonna replace the word "get rid of" with "let go of."
Okay.
Because get rid of sounds like it's not important. This water bottle is not important, but a book that I wrote, a note that someone gave me, a gift that someone gave me might be important. Do I need to keep everything from someone? No. If Aunt Edna gave you a platter and you don't like the platter, I give you permission to let it go.
Right.
It is the only time I will agree with going a little white lie and saying that it broke. Because
Yep.
your home your home supports your life. It supports who you are and how you show up in the world and how you feel and in your mental dialogue that goes all day long. And if you've got a platter that you don't like or use the word hate and you just come down and be like, "I hate that platter." Well, then please don't keep, because now you've got to invest energy. You're investing daily energy. There's only so many decisions you can make in a day. It's on repeat in your head. Now you've got negativity
Mhm.
rolling around in there. So let it go and bless someone else. I'm not saying put it in the trash unless that makes you feel good, then by all means throw it in the trash. But otherwise, put it as a blessing because someone else might love it.
It's true, right? I think I think about antiques. I'm not an antique person. I'm just not. There's a few antiques that my mom has in her house. She's very similar to me. She's very kind of a clean freak a little bit. And we actually, it was like a month or 2 ago, I went over her house and I was like, "We're recording this. I want you to tell me about each of these antiques," right? So she's telling me about these antiques, I'm recording it, and I should release that content, it's kinda cool. And some of them I just thought were so ugly. I'm not gonna say that, so that's for my brother, right? No, I'm just kidding. But some of them, there was one thing, just a few things, I was like, I yeah, that's it. But for the most part, it's not me, so I'm not gonna take it because I feel obligated. Because why? Because then it's almost like you feel like, again, that anchor holding you back if you don't really enjoy something.
Exactly.
So, I think this is a good exercise. When we're talking about confidence, we talk about it's identity based. It's not performative, right? And I would challenge anybody who's listening to this episode to look in your closet. I think that's a good place to start. Look in your closet. If you see a bunch of clothes that were from X size ago and are holding you back, right? And you look at these clothes and you feel ashamed. Why can't I fit into these clothes anymore? Why are they here? Let them go.
You
Get rid
start
of
and
them,
end
right?
your day in the closet. Everything in
Oh,
the
yeah.
closet should fit and feel good. You should be able to be like, "Oh, I can." Maybe it's not appropriate for the event that you're going to, but everything should fit and feel good, and if you're going for an exercise, everything should fit and feel good. If you're gonna be on a podcast with Tara, you should be able to put something on and feel good. You're gonna go out to dinner, you're gonna go to a meeting. Everything should fit and feel good. If it's too small, then you go in there and you go, "Oh, I'm so fat." And if it's too big, you go in there and go, "Oh, I don't have to watch my diet today. I can just go fancy free and eat whatever I want." So I think I mean, there's a little bit of balance in there because we do have certain fluctuations that are natural, but I don't think that we should have um, clothes that are multiple sizes too big or too small, because I think that puts us in that mindset of I'm not good enough, and we are good enough just as we are.
Ooh. All right. Well, I'm going to do that this weekend because I know for a fact there is a couple of skirts that I have and pants and all of the stuff that those days are long gone, Leanne. Right? Those days are long gone. We just need
Long
to let
gone.
it go, have some closure, right? Close the
Yes,
chapter.
and you don't have to throw them in the trash. They can go on and live a beautiful life with someone else. There's so many charities that are happy to have your things. There's consignment stores. There's friends you can call who might be interested in it. It doesn't have to be get rid of. It can be let go of, and it continue to be a blessing somewhere else.
I love that. Such a good reframe. I'm so glad that you wrote that letter to your father. I know you did not mail yours. I wrote and did mail mine, and you guys will hear a lot more that story in my upcoming TEDx talk, and I encourage you to watch it. Hopefully it comes out this summer. We never know when these TEDx
Yeah.
talks are going to come out. I never know when yours are going to come out. They just come out. But Leanne's got a TEDx talk as well that I encourage everybody to watch and apply, because this is not about just listening to this for motivation and inspiration. This is listening to this and taking inspired action in your own life and applying these things so that you can have closure, have forgiveness, and become and step into that best version of yourself ultimately. Because again, this is identity based. Leanne, such a great interview. This was fun. An interview I never thought I would do, but it's great because this is why we talk to people who are outside of our expertise, because you actually just might find a lot of synergies in the work, right?
Yes. Yes. It's amazing how much can be aligned.
I love that. Where can everybody find you and learn more about you? You need to, I don't know how many states you serve, but it's not big enough because the world needs Leanne. I'm just saying.
Oh, thank you. That was
Yes.
funny you say that. I was on a summit out of the United Kingdom, and the next thing you know, which is funny because you did a TED Talk in
Yeah,
the
that is
UK,
hilarious.
and they were all like, all of the attendees, it seemed, were from the UK, and they were saying, "Well, can you come to my flat? Can you come to my place?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm an ocean away, but I'm happy to help you over the phone as much as I can."
I love that.
So they can find me at theclutterconsultant.com or at liannehofer.com.
I love that. And you're active on LinkedIn. You're on a couple different platforms. You're on Instagram.
I
We're
am.
buddies on there. So, guys, this is such a great reminder for everybody that we all have something to forgive in our lives, whether it's ourselves, our parents, someone else. We all have someone to forgive and we all have somebody to apologize for or to. So, I think that is a lesson in just being an adult and going through this life, right? Which is learning. This is school, right? We're learning every single day. And it's important that we step into that, again, identity of that person who doesn't hold on to things in the past, whether that's a grudge or a negative impression of somebody. Just let it go. Let go and let God, right?
Ah, and you can write that letter to yourself too.
Write that letter to yourself, absolutely, and forgive. Forgive that version of yourself that was doing the best they could at that time, because that's true. That's the truth, right?
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, Leanne. This was incredible.
Oh,
And thank
thank
you
you.
for everybody, yes, who watched this episode and tuned in today. I encourage you to share this with people because we never know what somebody is struggling with in their past, or a lack of forgiveness, or a lack of a feeling of closure. So I encourage you to share this episode to help more people and spread the word by posting this on your favorite social media platform and leaving a review on Apple. Each review helps us reach more people. We will catch you on the next episode. Take care.